The Arctic wind howled as the rescue team approached the station, its doors torn open, blood staining the snow, and not a single soul inside. Then they found the claw marks, and a message carved into steel. They're starving. Whatever happened here wasn't an accident, but what they uncovered next will shake you to your core. First, let's go back to the beginning. The silence wasn't just unnatural, it was impossible. Echo 7, an Arctic research station located 300 miles from the nearest outpost, had missed 3 mandatory check-ins. The last transmission was routine, almost boring, a weather update and an offhand remark about polar bear tracks near the supply cache. Then nothing. For 4 days. And in the Arctic, silence this long usually means one thing: trouble. Captain Nate Brody's boots hit the snow with a hard crunch as he stepped off the rescue skimmer. The wind bit through his thermals like broken glass, but that wasn't what made his skin crawl. It was the stillness. No snowmobile tracks, no footprints, no smoke from the generator vents. The facility's main door stood wide open, rattling softly in the wind. The latch wasn't broken, it had been left that way. On purpose or in panic, there was no way to know yet. He raised his radio. "Echo 7, this is Brody. We're on site. Entering now." No answer. Just static, thin and dry like wind over bone. The team advanced in formation, flashlights sweeping across ice-caked walls. Inside, the temperature was lower than it should have been. Power was down. Solar backups weren't kicking in. The common area looked untouched at first. Chairs in place, mugs on the table. But a closer look told a different story. One chair lay on its side. A table corner was splintered. A blood smear trailed along the floor into the dark. In the kitchen, a kettle still sat on the stove, its metal frosted over. The freezer was wide open. Food supplies had been disturbed. Not ransacked, just searched. As if someone, or something, had been desperate. In the bunk room, one bed had blood-soaked sheets. No body. Just a deep indent in the mattress where someone had once lain, maybe injured, maybe trying to rest. Another bunk had been stripped bare. A corner of the mattress was torn, clawed. And then, in the storage corridor, they found the message, carved into the aluminum wall, deep and ragged, as if scratched with a screwdriver or a piece of sharpened metal. Not a sentence. A warning. "They're starving." Brody stood frozen, the words burning into his mind. The kind of message you leave when you know you're not going to make it, and the kind of thing you only write when you're not sure who they really are anymore. They found the camera beneath an overturned metal desk in the main lab. It was scratched, slightly bent, but still functional. A small solar cell taped to its back had kept it alive. Captain Brody connected it to a portable screen. The footage began instantly. No password, no encryption, just hours of video, time-stamped and dated across the last 3 months. The first clips were uneventful. Weather logs, ice sample analysis, inventory checks. Then Emily appeared. She looked tired but calm, sitting at her workstation, speaking directly into the camera. Her voice was steady. She mentioned a collapsed polar bear den near the northern ridge and a single surviving cub they found wandering alone. She called her Ghost, said the mother had been poached, likely by one of the illegal hunting camps known to drift between ice shelves. No enforcement ever responded to their reports. The bear had no chance alone, so they brought her back. The next several days showed Emily and Dr. Tanner caring for the animal, feeding her fish, cleaning her wounds. The cub grew fast. Too fast. One clip showed her standing on her hind legs, already eye level with the scientists. They reinforced one of the supply rooms with steel bars to act as a holding enclosure. Emily insisted Ghost was not dangerous. She said the bear had bonded with her. Then came the snowstorm. The footage jumped. Power flickered. Temperatures plummeted. Ghost became restless, pacing in tight circles, snapping at shadows. She refused food. Tanner's voice was audible in one clip, angry, scared. "She's not a cub anymore. She's starving and she doesn't understand why." Emily disagreed, said the bear was confused, not aggressive, said she just needed time. The final videos were different, handheld, shaky, taken during moments of panic. Emily spoke into the lens, whispering. Her eyes were bloodshot, her lips cracked from the cold. "We tried to help her," she said. "We took her in. We taught her we were safe, but we didn't teach her how to survive without us. And now she doesn't know the difference between love and hunger." Screams echoed off camera. Doors slammed. Tanner shouted her name. Emily didn't flinch. She just looked at the camera and said, "This isn't her fault." Then she placed the camera gently on the floor and walked toward the sound. The footage ended in darkness. The sun never truly rose, but by midday the sky had shifted from pitch black to a dull steel gray. The wind was calm. That alone felt wrong. Captain Brody stood outside the main entrance, eyes scanning the endless white. The team had spent the morning recovering what equipment they could, but morale was cracking. The footage had left them shaken. Then the alert pinged on the thermal scanner. Movement, 100 meters out. Large, slow, approaching directly. Brody and 2 others took position behind the snow tractor. No one spoke. Through the blur of frost, the figure took shape. Massive, white, familiar. It was Ghost. She moved slowly, deliberately, her head low, her steps careful. She wasn't stalking. She wasn't afraid. She was returning, the same way a dog finds its way back to a house where the lights have gone out. She stopped 20 feet from the main entrance and stood still. Her breath came in great plumes. Her fur was matted with dirt, patches of old blood frozen into the strands. Her left side was sunken. Ribs showed. She was starving. But her eyes scanned the entrance, not with threat, but memory. She looked toward the lab. Brody didn't raise his weapon. He simply watched. Her presence wasn't an attack. It was a question. And then the answer came. A second bear emerged from the far end of the ridge, larger, heavier, a mature male, aggressive. His posture was immediate and clear: dominance, hunger, conquest. He didn't stop. He moved straight toward Ghost. She turned her head, saw him, and shifted her weight. No hesitation, no sound. She charged. The two collided with force that shook the ground. A wave of snow lifted into the air like smoke. The male roared, biting down on Ghost's shoulder. She twisted, raked her claws across his face. Blood splattered across the ice. Brody shouted for the team to fall back. A flare fired into the sky, casting flickering red light over the struggle. The bears slammed into the side of the station, steel buckled. Ghost was smaller but faster. She targeted the male's throat, driving him back with snapping jaws. At last, wounded and staggering, the male turned and disappeared into the white. Ghost stood bleeding, her breath ragged. She turned to face the station one last time. And then, without a sound, she walked into the storm and vanished. The storm lifted by dawn, leaving the station buried in new snow and silence even heavier than before. Captain Brody moved through the wreckage with numb precision. The satellite uplink was operational again. Evac was en route. But nothing felt resolved. The structure still stood. The walls were intact. Yet everything human inside Echo 7 was broken beyond repair. In the lab, Brody found Emily's journal beneath a thermal blanket near the backup battery rack. The cover was warped from condensation. Inside, the pages were dense with notes, charts, and first-person entries. Not a diary, a record, every decision, every mistake, every warning ignored. She wrote about Ghost with care, not affection, not distance. She chronicled the cub's weight gain, diet changes, stress responses. She also documented the growing tension between her and Dr. Tanner. Tanner warned early on that the cub was imprinting, that keeping her close might confuse the bear's instincts. Emily disagreed. She believed trust could hold. One entry read, "There's no protocol for compassion. There's only protocol for cleanup after it fails." Further in, the tone shifted. The ice shelf collapsed again. The seal migration path vanished. Emergency food rations ran low. Ghost began refusing fish. Then she began hunting birds near the station vents. Then she waited outside the lab door at night. Not pacing, not threatening, watching. The final pages were written over a single 24-hour span. Tanner sedated her. The dosage was wrong. She lashed out. He bled. I locked the doors. He begged me to let him out. I told him I couldn't. I knew what she was, and I knew what we made her become. The last line was written in heavy strokes that bled through the paper. She didn't fail us. We failed her. The team recovered Tanner's body at the secondary entrance, half buried in snow. He'd crawled toward the landing beacon, still clutching an empty tranq rifle. Brody stood outside as the evac chopper descended. He looked once more into the white, where Ghost had vanished. Not to search, not to call, just to understand. They came here to study melting ice and shifting currents. They never prepared for what happens when the wild remembers what humans took from it. Ghost wasn't the threat. She was the consequence.